This is everything you need to know about Minecraft blocks in one video. Every fact, secret, and hack, it's all here. If you were to place a water source block next to a non-full block like mud, soul sand, or the like, and then walk forward into a wall, you'll notice that because the block isn't a full 16 pixels in size, we'll just start to bounce up and down indefinitely because of the water. And this is also the reason why you never want to bridge out of soul sand when you're going through a lava lake, because it's too low, you're gonna catch on fire.
Before we even got concrete confirmed for the snapshots, Jeb first showed off the concept in a video posted in February 2017. And in this clip we see an early texture for the pink concrete powder, and how it would eventually harden on impact with water.
70% of the diamond ore that you would find in the game does not generate if it's exposed to air.
I can see this one right here.
Well, this would be a rare case of it generating exposed to air in this case.
I see.
Yeah.
Literally, I see. I could see all the diamonds.
And speaking of showing off next to your nether portal, well, you might notice that only big spenders are building their nether portals with the 4 corners, since, as we all know, it's unnecessary. I mean, even the Yogscast taught us that. Plus, it's not like obsidian can be easily farmed anyway, so if you're doing this, you're really just wasting time in 2 different ways, both in mining the obsidian and in spending the extra time to lay out those 4 blocks. So really, the only time you should see a nether portal built in this layout should be when you go through the nether and it generates over there. But in any other case, I'd recommend putting that 4 extra obsidian into an enchanted table or something. That's a lot more economical. If you were to line up the textures of bedrock blocks just right, you'll notice the hidden detail that starts to poke out of the blend, and it becomes instantly more noticeable when we highlight it like this. Sure enough, there's a wither skull that pokes through the texture, which, intentional or not, is a fun detail.
Bits and the nether don't exactly mix well. That's just intentional game design. Though that's unfortunate, since it turns out beds might just be what you need for nether safety. Of course, you can only test this in the overworld, but when you sleep in a bed, the player cannot be damaged by lava. When you wake up, you might not be as lucky.
So, if you were to normally light a TNT, but instead crouch while you do it, you can light the block on fire.
Oh, yeah.
And then eventually, it'll spread. Tracking down the chiseled stone bricks isn't their only annoyance, since due to the fact that Minecraft textures are 16 by 16, this pattern was bound to have some asymmetry, and that would be why the center of this block isn't actually in the center. And this is one of those where I'm afraid once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. And unfortunately, a cobblestone wall like this doesn't make it any easier to look at. In each world, there's 128 strongholds, so you'll find a total of 1,536 end portal frames.
Oh my gosh, that is a lot.
What the cobblestone walls lack in size, they more than make up for in volume. And in fact, if you were to craft a stack of cobblestone into cobblestone walls, you'd be left with exactly enough walls to fence off one 16 by 16 chunk.
What is this?
You put a line of droppers, each one pushing the item into the next one. It's called a dropper pipe. It's actually faster than using hoppers. Here it goes.
Oh my god, it's going.
Oh my god.
That is spitting out so fast.
Don't smelt your ancient debris, but rather you should save it for your redstone machines. Ancient debris has the same blast resistance as obsidian, but unlike obsidian, we can move our ancient debris with a piston, which makes machines like this not only possible, but also highly effective. Plus, if you consider the upside to having a tunnel bore, it's worth missing out on some netherite scraps.
Be very quiet as we move around here. We're wanting to sneak.
What?
So I want to sneak around while we're going around this, because in the ancient cities, comparators now generate naturally. There's actually a redstone museum that generates in the middle of an ancient city to show you about some of the redstone techniques. We might want to get out of here before anything tries to teach us another education. While the invisibility potion effect makes you almost entirely invisible to different mobs and players, as it turns out, there's something in Minecraft a little bit more all-knowing. As you can see, if you have the invisibility effect and then you walk up to an enchanting table, then it'll still open up and the book will see the player. Now in Bedrock, you're able to place a lever on top of fences, walls, and hoppers. And while they still work regularly in Java when we do commands, it breaks when you put it on the hopper.
Oh, nice going, Dan.
The composter. So when you're planting crops and you're trying to make a composter farm, you'll probably want to do this through melons, because these are the most effective. Because melons don't need to be replanted, potatoes would be. As you can see here, we don't have to worry about replanting any melons anytime soon.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
My God.
Oh, that's nice and quick and Dan. And then we could just use it to grow more melons and the army continues.
We're on the same wavelength.
Oh, we certainly are. It's probably the antennas.
Yes, the antennas.
So if you're going to look up for this example, because when we spawn sand, even though you might not think so, it falls the same velocity through air, water, or lava.
It can blast through about 6 feet of molten rock, but it touches a torch, dead immediately on impact.
On May 17th of 2019, Minecraft celebrated its 10th anniversary. And with that, if you actually happened to place a cake on that day, you'd actually see that the cake model was modified so that it would display a 10 above it made out of white concrete. It's a cute little birthday celebration, but honestly, who among us is crafting cakes anyway? So mycelium cannot be tilled with a hoe into farmland. But Dan, if you turn this mycelium into path first, and then J you turn it into farmland, it works. You could also always just break the mycelium and then you get regular dirt, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, this is more fun and mechanical and a waste of tools, and I like that.
TNT doesn't explode underwater, but if you add sodium to it, you get this special underwater TNT. And this blue variant only exists in the Education Edition. Though to do this in other versions, just place a sand block above TNT, ignite it, it'll explode underwater just the same.
Having a conduit in your ocean is a big flex, so having several of them should make for a big showcase. But after you spent all that time rounding up the prismarine hearts of the sea, it begs the question, do you know the best way to use them? Well, as it turns out, there is a right answer. See, since these conduits give out their effects in such a pattern, the most efficient way to get the full effects wherever you go is by placing the circles in an overlapping fashion like so. And this chart from Block Facts really clears that up. And that'll help you feel like a proper Atlantean anywhere throughout your base. We're usually pretty used to torches being very bright. Light source of 14, very good. But if you use sea pickles...
Sea pickles?
Now one sea pickle by itself, not a lot of light. But if you put 4 of them in the same area, this is now a light source of 15, which means that it's brighter than a torch.
That's crazy.
We now have a renewable way to get soul soil because when you break a soul campfire, it drops soul soil. But you need soul sand to craft it, and since you can get soul sand renewably through piglin bartering, then you can get soul soil.
When lava spreads, it can trigger a tripwire hook, which allows for some pretty creative traps if you're devious enough. But keep in mind this is just a one-time deal, since that lava will break the string and tripwire hooks in the process. So if you're going to use it, make sure it kills them on the first go.
Shroom lights look a lot like glowstone and they function the same with light, but if you flip a lever, redstone does not pass through glowstone, but it does for shroom light. So if you're looking for a redstone compatible light, shroom lights are better than glowstone. If by some way you were to get water inside of the nether dimension in Bedrock Edition, then because of the way the biomes are coded, the water will actually turn red in color. Which is weird that they would have such a difference between Bedrock and Java in this way, but since it's not an intentional feature to have water in the nether anyway, I'm really just amazed that they went through the effort of changing the color in the first place. Froglight, what we now know as pearlescent froglight, was originally known as Blanc froglight, meaning white.
Which means white. I know that.
Lecterns were added in 1.14, but Dinnerbone wanted them in the game much sooner. In fact, back in 2012, Dinnerbone talked about a way to add in a stand that would make it easier to read the written books. But after various complications, the idea was scrapped, and it wouldn't return until 2019, 7 years later. Coarse dirt, when it was originally added in 1.7, actually had the name grassless dirt.
How did they come up with that name and not just call it dirt? Is this grassless, dirtless stone? Or is it stonedless grass? I don't know.
Even though barrels were first added to Minecraft Java Edition roughly a month before Bedrock in Snapshot 18W44A, in the files of a Bedrock Edition beta version lie some interesting unused textures. Apparently at some point in development there were plans to add variants of the barrel both empty and filled with fish.
In Bedrock Edition, it's entirely possible to relight an unlit campfire just by lighting yourself on fire. No joke, by going over and stop, dropping, and rolling right on top of an unlit pile of ashes, all of a sudden it's lit up like a Christmas tree. Now the only question is, why doesn't this happen in Java Edition? I guess we handle fire safety a little different around here. As you can see, even though this melon did not grow from all of these stems, the stems still connect to it.
Talk about selfish. He's getting all the nutrients and oh, he's dead.
And now they don't. That's really just a thing that only happens in Bedrock.
This is the shortest block in Minecraft, though from this point of view it might be hard to see that it's even there. But if we move over here, you'll notice that the lily pad is only 1% the size of a normal block. And on the other end, the tallest block you can place would be the door, standing at 2 blocks tall, exactly.
Now, why is this quartz block better than this one? Well, by default, quartz blocks have a low blast resistance. But if you were to use 2 quartz slabs or a smooth quartz block instead, you can make a substantially stronger 4 than the alternative, all without sacrificing the look of the regular quartz. A wet sponge is always dropped when you kill an Elder Guardian.
Oh, there he is.
Oh,
Get him,
I
get
see.
him, get him.
Oh yeah.
Get rid of him.
There you go.
he
It
goes.
worked.
A wet sponge. Of all of the blocks that exist in Minecraft, the only 3 that can naturally generate in all 3 dimensions are chests, obsidian, and bedrock. And because of that, I guess technically each dimension has some way for you to get an ender chest on your hands as well.
If you were to try to use your diamond pick to mine a block of obsidian underwater while not standing on solid ground, it would take you just shy of 4 minutes, at 234 seconds. And for that effort, just place a door and do it in 9.4 seconds.
If you take an extra close look at the top of the bone block texture, you can find this hidden design that starts to peek out. And honestly, the idea to tuck a skull inside of the bone block is maybe a little barbaric, but also pretty funny to see. So now, if we were to summon a mob here, the reason we can is because scaffolding is one of the few transparent blocks that allows mobs to spawn on top of them. In the Snapshot 12W32A, we got a new block called Work in Progress. A catchy name, I know. But even unfinished, I'm sure any Minecraft veteran can notice that this eventually became what we call the beacon block. Though to get there, it had to go through 4 separate texture variations, which definitely lives up to the Work in Progress name after all. It's physically possible to explode a block of obsidian. Now, obviously, you couldn't do this with regular TNT, no matter how many you explode at once, but if you use this command to summon a prime piece of TNT with an explosion power of 72 or above, it'll be strong enough to destroy a piece of obsidian. A netherite beacon is a huge flex, but if you're wondering how much ancient debris it's going to cost you, we're looking at 3.5 full shulker boxes of ancient debris.
Oh my gosh, that is a lot.
5,904 pieces. The way that Minecraft is, it's really easy to build a pillar, but really awkward to build downwards. And without a water source to cling to, most of us might think that such a thing is impossible, but that's just not true. If we just so happen to have 2 trapdoors on hand, then we can use this crawl technique like so to slowly maneuver ourselves down the path. Is it tedious? Absolutely. But the fact still remains that if you need to build downwards in a pinch, this might be your best bet. If you get a mob to stand on top of a cake, it'll just keep rotating in place, completely unable to move. And this is due to a pathfinding oversight in their AI code, which is why the same thing happens on fences as well. This is a sign, and this is the chalkboard, or rather, chalkboards, since we have 3 different sizes to choose from. We've got the 1x1 slate, the 2x1 poster, and the 3x2 board. And what's interesting about all of these is that they let us put more text on a board instead of a regular sign. And if you have the largest size, you can type up to 15 lines of text on the same board, which is definitely helpful for giving instructions. But besides that, they work like regular signs. You can walk through them, water or lava doesn't destroy them, the whole 9 yards. Now, Jay, I'm going to give you a wooden tool, and Dan, I'm going to give you an iron tool, and you're going to break the redstone block, and Dan can break the redstone ore. So, to break redstone ore, you need better than iron, but to break a redstone block, it's any of the tools work.
Oh.
Anyone who's ever used the composter block knows that it can sometimes be a ripoff, but as it turns out, it's not just you that it's ripping off. As a matter of fact, as soon as you put an item inside the composter, you'll see that the filling texture is the same as Podzol. If you don't yet have the flame enchantment on your bow, but you're still looking to fire off some flame arrows, then this might be an option. You see, if you have a lava bucket, that is going to be able to catch some of your arrows on fire, but not in the way that you would think. As you can see, only if an arrow shot into flowing lava does it catch on fire. Much like grass or mycelium, if you place an opaque block over these, then over time they'll eventually just degrade into dirt or netherrack. But if we do water instead, then oddly enough, the nether blocks do not degrade when they have water above them.
Oh.
If you don't have the extra materials to make a sign or an item frame, then it is possible to name your chest in this way, since any container item will retain their name in the UI screen if you were to name them in an anvil. And considering that you can name a whole stack of these at once, it could be pretty cheap overall. At the very least, it's just an easy way to sneak in a funny message for your friend and wonder if they'll ever notice it.
Because of the way hitboxes work, if you place an armor stand on top of a block and then drop it onto a fence post, it'll just float in place, which gives us a pretty weird result. This is especially strange when you consider that armor stands don't float on slabs, snow layers, or even enchanting tables.
So calcite, even though it's a white block, appears brown when you see it from above on a map.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you can't miss it.
But Mojang has marked that as intentional, so not getting fixed anytime soon either. Even though some servers by default use spawn protection to protect against their spawn point, as it turns out, if you're not an admin, there still is a little bit of havoc that you're able to do there. Sure enough, if you use bone meal on the grass in a spawn protected area, it's still going to produce grass and flowers. If you drop an item onto soul sand because it's not a full block, the falling block will break, which can be a real problem if you're trying to lava-proof the nether, because there's soul sand underneath. Doesn't matter how much gravel we put here, it's just burning.
Oh, sure.
Oh yeah, you can't walk on that. That's not a safe surface to walk on.
Here's why ender rods are useful when they're horizontal, but not as much when they're vertical. Because when it's horizontal, you're able to drop falling blocks on top of it and it'll break them like so. Much the same way that a torch or slab would. But place it upright instead, and the falling blocks can fall right into place without ever breaking.
If you were to ignite a piece of TNT mid-air and let it fall, how far could it fall before exploding? After running this test, you can see that it takes 72 blocks before the TNT explodes. So take this as a lesson before you build your next flying machine. If you go too high, your bombs won't be able to reach your friend's base below.
If you were to line the bottom of a nearby riverbed using mud blocks, then that row of mud will cancel out the swimming animation, allowing you to just run like normal underneath the water. And this is due to the fact that mud actually renders you 1 pixel lower inside of the block, so you're not really running in water, you're running in mud. So these chorus plants have a very wide range of how far they can grow, with the smallest being 5 blocks and the tallest being up to 22 blocks high.
Oh my gosh, that is a tall guy. That guy has to bend down when he's going through doors.
809 quadrillion. That sounds like a big number, but it's actually how many uniquely crafted banner patterns there are. With 16 blank banners, 38 patterns of 16 colors each, and up to 6 patterns per banner, we can get this giant number. Though that includes a lot of duplicates because these two inverted patterns do look the same, but they count as separate entries and don't stack.
Prior to 1.15, it was possible to break iron doors without a pickaxe. It was just gonna take a while. But now if you were to do this, you're just gonna have wasted your time and not even get an iron door. And both of those seem like a slap in the face.
This cactus is 23 blocks tall, and what's even more impressive is that this cactus spawned naturally. Thanks to the Minecraft at Home research project, the community has discovered seeds you can load up in Java 1.14.4 and see this huge cactus. So if you need a bunch of green dye, I'd say this is a good start.
Clearly, Minecraft's textures have seen a lot of changes over the years, but one of the strangest of which is how wooden planks initially used to look. Since way back in the pre-classic days of Minecraft, when you crafted your oak into oak planks, you would have gotten something like this, which looks more than a little sad in both color and texture. But don't worry, it got even worse. For after this, we got this texture where it looked gray, if anything. And that might be good for dead wood, but it's not the kind of thing I want to use to build my house. And that's why it eventually became this texture that we know from Java Edition Classic. If you ignite a beehive, it'll actually smoke them out.
Oh my god! No!
And the same would happen with these.
Wow, I never would have guessed that's what
Fact number 1, and I'm already scarred.
In the snapshots for 1.20, it's possible to duplicate any book as many times as you want. After you've filled up the new chiseled bookshelf block, simply click it again with whatever book you please. So if you were to use an auto-clicker here, you'd be able to get some pretty ridiculous results.
The original recipe to craft an anvil cost 6 iron blocks like this and 1 iron ingot, but they lowered the cost for that, and thankfully now it's only 3 iron blocks and 4 iron ingots.
Oh, thank goodness.
6?
Minecraft doesn't have dominoes, but it does have hanging signs. And what we're able to do with those is have a hanging sign supporting underneath another hanging sign. So if you take that to its logical extreme, you can have a whole chain of these things only going from one hanging sign support. So all it's gonna take is breaking one of those and that whole domino chain falls apart. If you wonder what this face is, the entire reason this face exists is because Jeb kept forgetting which way the observer was looking.
Wow, that's awesome. He's so mad for no reason.
While this blue ice block doesn't look that expensive, let's put it in perspective. Since to get one of these, you're gonna need 9 packed ice, and since the packed ice block is made out of 9 ice itself, what we're really seeing here is that one blue ice block is the equivalent of 81 ice blocks like so. And when you put that side by side in a comparison, it's quickly noticeable that you're gonna be spending a lot of ice just to get that quick highway. And frankly, if you're looking to spend the time to get that much blue ice to actually get up to those top speeds, you should really be building your highway like this with the gaps, because otherwise you're just wasting efficiency. Especially when you consider that both of these designs work the exact same. So if you're starting up a cocoa farm and you're wondering how long it's going to take for you to get some cocoa progress, the answer is that each stage takes roughly an average of 5 minutes and 41 seconds. But we increased the tick speed so it's going faster.
Thanks to time travel, it's instantaneous.
This is glow lichen, and this is a block of glow lichen. Or it sure looks that way, but what's actually happening here is that by placing a piece of glow lichen on the ground and then rotating it with a debug stick, you'll have what appears to be a block of the lichen. What's most interesting about all this is that even with all this glow lichen, it no longer glows, which seems odd.
If you walk onto the farmland from this glass block right here, it tramples if you walk on it from a full block, but if you walk on it from a slab, it doesn't trample.
Oh.
So you should use slabs when you're building out your farm.
Ah, that makes sense. To stop those pesky failboats from running around trampling your wheat farms.
And I'll do it again.
Here's the real question for you. Which came first, gold or diamond? Well, not only did gold come first, but the diamond block's texture is just the same as the block of gold, but with a bluish tint. And that's true with the old programmer art and the new textures that came with 1.14's texture update. Reflection table currently has no use. If you try to right-click it, nothing. But if we go into spectator mode and then right-click it, you see an eerie crafting table flash for a second.
Oh, you do? What?
Oh, yeah.
Ghost crafting table.
At some point, it was possible for Endermen to move around and place cactus blocks, meaning it was theoretically possible for enough Endermen to increase the population of cacti in a desert and keep planting more as they grow, which is just as terrifying as it sounds, trust me. Maybe they made the really tall cactus from earlier.
Alright, so if you have a wall made out of magma blocks, it prevents spiders from climbing up them.
I wonder why. Oh, well, that'll definitely do it.
100% effective. Yep, that did the job.
And in Bedrock, if you actually just had only a wall, the spiders still won't try to climb it.
Good, they're smart. They recognize a death glowing rock when they see it.
If you take a close look at any of the Minecraft doors, you'll notice that they have two sets of hinges on the opposite sides, instead of just one functional hinge. And while that might seem like a bug or mistake, Mojang did confirm on the bug tracker that this is actually intentional. And if you look at the comments, it seems like some players aren't too happy about that. Sorry, Connor, I don't think they're gonna fix it.
The smithing table has been through quite a few changes during its short time in Minecraft. When it was first added in Snapshot 18W44A, Minecraft's smithing table used to look like this. It's a sort of modified crafting table with some different tools along the side. I suppose it makes some sense.
According to Notch, torches were supposed to burn out after a while, but this never made it into the official game. However, if you play the Java Edition 2.0 snapshot, they do just that. And you'll even need a flint and steel just to reignite them once they burn out, which is annoying, so let's just hope this stays as an April Fool's joke. Different kinds of amethyst, they give off different kinds of light levels.
Oh, this is beautiful. I love this.
So a small would give off a light level of 1, a medium of 2, a large of 4, and a cluster gives off a light level of 5.
Wow.
If you're playing around with the 1.20 snapshots, you've likely been disappointed by this. Because even though we can now craft bamboo into fence blocks like this, unfortunately those fences are always going to be thicker than the bamboo stem itself. But then again, this is only noticeable if you're able to get it to line up, because bamboo is randomly offset when you place it as well. So really, what seems like it would be a great combo is anything but that. So if you want it to line up, you're just gonna have to break the bamboo stalk and craft it into whatever you're building out of. We're gonna walk through this painting for the next fact.
Just like Mario 64, let's go. Ow, ow, ow. Why do you lie to me?
So that's because you can actually place paintings and item frames on top of cactus. And that way you could use it to hide a secret door or a secret trap.
Or pain and suffering.
I would bet that most of you have never experienced this Minecraft fact, because frankly, I hadn't either. But if you were to press a button next to a bell, there is a chance for the bell to play its ringing sound in reverse, much like this. If you were to get this Ender Dragon egg here and right click it, then when it goes through the portal,
Oh, there's 2 eggs stacked up here.
so they will go back to the original spawn when they go through the portal.
With 3 TNT in a row, you can craft the Ethos Slab. This joke item, unsurprisingly named after Minecraft YouTuber Ethos Lab, was a part of the April Fool's update Minecraft 2.0. And while it behaved almost exactly like a regular TNT block, you can never be too careful around Etho.
Here's why iron bars are actually stronger than you might think. So if we spawn in this ghast, don't worry, because if we hide behind these iron bars, they don't actually break them.
Oh. So if you want to avoid a gas, just give yourself a life sentence and you're completely safe.
If you didn't already think that the Skulk Shrieker was a creepy block, then maybe this will convince you. Because as it turns out, the block was originally designed after inspiration from the human larynx. That being the part of the throat that actually makes the noises when you shriek. Which makes sense when you think about it, but it's also pretty creepy to think of your blocks turning into some kind of living mass. I don't know, it weirds me out. Before we go on to this next fact, what do you guys think is the rarest ore in the game?
Emerald. I just pulled that out of my head. I definitely don't, like, just randomly thinking that up.
But what kind of emeralds?
My choice.
As you could probably guess, Deep Slate Emerald ore is actually the rarest variant of an ore that you can find in the game.
Whoa.
It's actually rarer than Ancient Debris.
Really?
Because it has to happen at a very low elevation to spawn, and emeralds normally happen in extreme hills. So it's just very rare that this would happen. Instead of draining an ocean monument using sand, why not use pistons? Since the fact of the matter is, a powered piston is able to destroy water source blocks. Which means that if you have the slime on hand to make this kind of water-moving robot shown off by RVR, you can drain out entire oceans without ever touching sponge, sand, or any of that other stuff. And personally, I'll never complain about having an automatic option.
Powder Snow. The block was announced as Snow Your Snow at Minecon 2019.
Yeah, that's right. When it was first added in, it was called Snowier Snow. But they changed it to Powdered Snow, which is unfortunate. It's also just Powder Snow, not Powdered Snow, which I think is another missed opportunity.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Bring back Snowier Snow, cowards.
Snowier Snow
Honestly.
is such a good name.
Copper's a great block to build with, but it's also one of the most expensive. Since it's the only metal with stair and slab variants, you can only get those variants if you're using a copper block that costs 9 ingots each, which means that just one stair made out of copper costs 13.5 ingots to craft, which is a lot of effort to go through for just a roof like this. And add on to that all the opportunity cost that you spend waiting for this to weather down, and the copper house that you crafted is definitely going to come with a hefty price tag. Honestly, I'd only try this if you got yourself a drowned farm, otherwise it just seems too reckless.
Did you know dyed planks were at some point planned for Minecraft? Back in 2013, Dinnerbone tweeted out this picture of an experiment where he made planks that matched the wall colors. But despite hundreds of people showing their support for this, it was never added.
So trapdoors, despite being transparent blocks, you can place rails over them and also ride a minecart, and if you flip these down, it still works.
He's floating.
What?
That looks like a fun time.
So what you could hypothetically do is that if you like flip this now, I would be underneath your minecart.
Oh, what?
Wow. You look very comfortable.
With the popularity of 100 days challenges in Minecraft, it's become a lot more crucial to check your in-game time. And while most of us would do that through the F3 debug menu, there's actually a way to do this with redstone. See, using a daylight sensor on top of a dispenser filled up with blocks, then every time another day passes by, a block goes into the chest and tells you the number. I mean, it's certainly a lot more costly than hitting a button on a keyboard, but if you want to, it's worth a shot. Now, despite what you might think, there's actually only one transparent block that cannot be placed on ice. Can you guess it? Well, if you can't, then there's actually snow layers that cannot be placed on top of ice blocks, which is likely some holdover from world generation. If you go stand in this hole right here
Oh, okay.
and teleport up.
Oh!
Whoa.
Uh-oh, I hope this survives.
Twisting vines are able to save your legs. Dan, you want to try that too?
Absolutely. Send me. No! I saw you break it. I saw you break it on the way down.
So, as you can see, twisting vines are very important.
Soul Sand is creepy, but this is even creepier. Since if you were to take the time to break a player head block, you can look closely and notice that the particle effects from breaking it are the same as the Soul Sand particles. I guess it's called Soul Sand for a reason. It's filled with the same stuff as Steve's skull.
This might not look like much, but what you're actually seeing here is the result of 16,384 blocks that we placed. Since to get one thing of custom map art, it's going to be a 128 by 128 map. And when you crunch the numbers, that quickly starts to ramp up in time. And that's not even including the fact that you could be using supporting blocks to get this staircase in effect for shading. So as much as I love showing off custom map art in our videos for the cool details like so, if you're actually in survival and you're trying to use one of these for a chessboard or a custom carpet, it's not the most economical choice, let's put it at that. Flowering azaleas, for all purposes, counts as a flower, even though it's not placed the same, and you could use it to breed two bees together.
Oh my god, that's so romantic.
Get a baby bee.
Oh, it's a lowercase b.
And there it goes.
Oh my, whoa.
Minecraft has plenty of different blocks that function as containers, in which that you're able to place an item inside of them and then they'll keep that item inside. Things like chests, barrels, dispensers, hoppers, any of that. And while I would initially think that furnaces are the most limited, that all gets thrown out the window when you factor in brewing stands. These things cannot do a lot. They got one inventory slot and it's only for potion ingredients. So if you're a practicing witch or warlock who wants to hide their golden carrots in a place that no one will ever find, there you go. But for the rest of us regular people, I think it's probably best to use brewing stands for, well, brewing. They're much better sorted for that job.
If you're planting a crop farm in a snowy area, use waterlogged leaves instead of water. These blocks can still hydrate nearby farmland, but they don't freeze into ice like a water source block. The worst you'll get is a bit of snow piled on top, which isn't nearly as bad for your crops.
When cobblestone was originally added in, it doesn't look all that different, but the lines were a lot darker.
Ugly.
And fortunately, it was changed.
Yeah, thank you. Much more attractive.
Yeah, I don't want to see it. Yeah, thank you.
What's the most fuel you can put in a furnace? Well, even though a lava bucket is the single best item, if you put in a full stack of coal blocks, it can smelt for over 14 hours straight, which is just over 42 full Minecraft days of smelting. That's more than 50 times better than a single lava bucket, but you would need 576 coal to do this, so better get fortune on your pickaxe. So originally, the idea that you would get crying obsidian would be that it would come from lightning striking regular obsidian.
Yeah, that would make me cry too, actually.
Yeah.
But the way that you get it now is through piglin bartering. For some reason, Belle blocks are taller in Java Edition than they are in Bedrock. And why that's the case, I honestly have no clue. Minecraft stone blocks have a lot of variants. The stone cutter will help you find out that. But it's also true that no one stone block type has all of these different variants. Now sure, they all have a basic one, but only a certain amount have a polished one. The most have bricks, and then even fewer and fewer have smooth, alternate, and special variants. And when you see that all laid out in a post like this, it is a little unsatisfying, and I'm sure that's why a bunch of mod developers have gone through this and filled in the gaps themselves. There's clearly a blank space, it's just up to you to fill it. Sticky pistons generate naturally as a part of jungle temples. So let's see if you guys can figure out the code to get the sticky pistons to reveal.
I think it's like,
Hey, you got it.
oh, did I?
No, it's up top. Yeah, it opens up this. So see, there's 3 sticky pistons. It's like a redstone key.
Oh, and this is the only place they spawn. Oh, that makes sense.
You might not see it, but there's actually a bubble elevator here. Because in Bedrock, we can make a fully operational bubble elevator without having any water or sand nearby. To do this, we make our regular bubble elevator using soul sand water sources, then block out the water sources using powdered snow, and finally use an end portal to break the soul sand, which sure enough leaves this kind of airstream that still works. Why? No clue, but I'm not gonna argue with results.
Unlike their slime block counterparts, honey blocks are sticky along their sides. As the sticky situation achievement describes, sliding down the sticky side will slow your fall. So if you were to take a stack of 256 honey blocks and slide from the top of the world down to the bottom, it would take 1 minute and 14 seconds.
If you're tired of placing pumpkins, then don't worry, dispensers will do it for you. The reason this works is based off a snow golem trick. But instead of having the pumpkins set up on top of 2 snow blocks, you have those 2 snow blocks a little further off where it actually can't build a golem. There are plenty of different directions and configurations where this can work, but as soon as you find one, then it's entirely possible to get your pumpkins placed without having to do the right clicking yourself. Is there any point to it? Not that I can think of. And honestly, it's probably a smarter option to have this do the intended method of actually having auto golems built.
This beacon wasn't supposed to exist, but because of a glitch in 1.7.4, there was a way to get a black beacon before Glass could even change the beacon color. If you place 4 black wool around a beacon and then use a redstone clock and pistons to push the blocks over the top, there you have it, a black beacon before you were even supposed to have one.
As it turns out, if you plonk down a 2 tall flower and you want to get a duplicate, all you gotta do is bone meal that 1 2 tall flower. Just like that, another one pops off, and you got probably the easiest farm in the game. Personally, I've spent way too much time throwing bone juice into a sunflower and watching these things pop off. So if you're looking to have storage upon storage of dye, this is the way to get it. But just make sure that your composters can handle all that new demand. Planting trees around your base can really bring a build together, especially if you design some of them custom. That is, until your friend comes by and decides to break the bottom 2 logs of the tree trunk for a craft. And now, all you got is a bunch of eyesores. Well, to solve that problem, let's teach them a one-time lesson that the Lorax would even approve of. By setting up an observer system like such, we can have it so that when they break the log, the chop gets recognized, and then an explosion takes care of the rest. And better yet, by using TNT minecarts in this way, the detonation gets to near instantaneous levels. So, whichever log they take from you, we can make sure it'll be their last. Look, I'm sure many of us are curious creatures. It's just human nature, which means that if someone sees a chest out and about, they're gonna want to open it. And if that's the case, then this might just open up the door for our perfect punishment. Now, to pull this off, we'll need our chest, some signs, and a TNT to top it off. Since TNT is essentially a redstone-activated gravity block, all we need is an input from a trapped chest, and that'll put this all in motion. They pop it open, the signs break around them, and all of a sudden that sandy floor leads them straight to their doom. And hey, why not even throw in a sign to cover up the trapped chest front? That way, it's even less detectable and even more deadly.
If you're trying to hide from your foes, consider crafting a chest or a sign. Since these are rendered differently from typical blocks, if you stand behind one, your name tag doesn't render as usual. This gives you a way to hide from the competition without holding down the sneak key, which is better for secrecy and for your fingers, honestly.
Now, I get it, sorting through your items is a pretty boring process, but to dignify that time that we're sinking in, we should at least make it look nice. And while everyone else settles for just using item frames in their chests, I think we can get a bit more creative. So why not mix our item frames and signs like so? See, because item frames behave more like entities than blocks, we can overlay the two and get something of a pop-up effect on our signs. Granted, you'll have to use blocks for this to work, but it does give an added detail to the signs that you're placing down, and I think it's a nice touch. and especially when you compare it to the competition. When you're exploring your world, nightfall is the most common hazard, and while a bed is a quick fix, the truth is that all it takes is one monster, and then it's a pain finding a place to sleep. So if you're in that situation, a simple fix is placing your bed underwater. Seriously, after you chuck it down on the lake bed, you can sleep just the same. That and the land dwellers up above shouldn't have much speed trying to chase you, letting you safely snooze down below. So assuming there are no drown nearby, that should go over pretty smoothly, allowing us to pass the time and avoid the now burning monsters up above. Though watch out for phantoms, because apparently those can go underwater, unfortunately. Building in Minecraft can be a rewarding task, but it also has its tedious parts. And while the fill command can help with that some, it's usually just good for filling in rectangles or cubes. Or so you thought, because apparently we can also use it for more complex patterns as well. As this Reddit user shows off, start by turning off the item drops and then fill from the second layer up with carpet. And then when you change that carpet back to your block of choice, you'll notice that the pattern only stayed where it was stacked, and the empty space is left that way. And while it's still a far cry from proper world edit tools in vanilla, this might save you some valuable time on the next project. Minecraft's a sandbox game, there's no doubt about that, but that doesn't stop the game from setting some ground rules. And one that we're all familiar with is the ability to only place blocks in the grid, which is why a site like this is probably quite the surprise. Now folks, this isn't vanilla, but the execution's a bit sneaky. See, what's actually happening is that we have stair blocks aligned like so to give the illusion that the blocks are off the grid, and then we pour water over the nearby slabs to better cover up our tracks. And while the surprise might wear off after hearing that explanation, I still think this will be plenty cool for your next world. Anyone who's ever put a hopper inside their world knows that these things can't pull items through full blocks. Slabs are fine, but regular blocks are a no-go. That is, until you put the hopper inside of a minecart. Yeah, for some reason, when you put this entity together, all of a sudden it's able to pull items through full blocks. So if you're capable of setting up the rail system underneath your floor, then this is actually a way to get a proper item retrieval system through an actual farm. Just keep in mind that it is going to take a little while for the hopper minecart to get over to where it needs to pick up. It's just the price you pay for breaking the laws of physics. If you're like me, you love the soul speed enchantment, but the look of soul soil just really isn't doing it for your base. In that case, no worries, because even if you put carpet down or slabs on top of the other block, you're still able to get the full effect of soul speed, meaning you can run around with style and speed without having to look at all the brown inky black in the floor, to use the technical term. Proving that this might just be the way to get the full mileage out of the enchantment without having to give up your floor's facade. In the middle of building a big project, inventory management can be a real hassle. So if you placed down a certain block earlier, but now you don't want to go searching through your inventory, all you gotta do is hit the middle click button and it'll put it right in your hotbar. And for even more help in that game mode, if you hold control and middle mouse when you pick block, then it'll actually give you that exact thing with the NBT data. And then every time that you place it down, it's going to be exactly like the one that you just cloned. Meaning if you want a copy of a command block with a specific command or a chest with specific items in it, this is the easiest way to get it into your inventory. Now, when you light a block of TNT on fire, it turns into a prime TNT as you would expect. But what might surprise you is that if we then shoot this new entity with arrows, our projectiles just bounce off, which means that the only way that we're mixing TNT with arrows is through command blocks. If you've watched any TV show or movie with a police scene, you're probably familiar with the idea of one-way glass. And to my surprise, we can make that in Minecraft as well. If we were to make a room of glass and then fill every single wall with invisible item frames and map art, then any perpetrator standing inside can only see the map art. However, when we stand outside, we can see in just fine. And let me reiterate, this has to be done with invisible item frames. Otherwise, we just see that leather texture out the back. And with that, folks, YouTube thinks that you might like this video, so see if they're right and have a good one, alright?